Hey YouTube, a little while back I did a review on this SJ Cam M10 action cam that I bought. Overall it's a pretty good camera, not up to current GoPro standards, but it's like 1/3, 1/4 the cost of the GoPro. Anyway, so as I'm getting into this action cam stuff, one thing I've seen is there's quite a few different mounting options and gizmos and gadgets that you can use to connect to your camera, to attach it to various parts of your body, your head, your arm, your hand, stationary objects, bicycle handlebars, etc. And this camera came with a bunch of those. But I've noticed that when you are just carrying the camera, you tend to get a little bit of bounce or a little shake to everything. Because this just isn't and I'm not always carrying it in the case, of course, but this just isn't like a normal position for you to typically hold something. Our hands are meant to grip this way, so some sort of stick or pole or cylindrical object would be best. So of course they sell selfie sticks and extendable selfie sticks and so forth to give you lots of range and stuff. So I saw another video here on YouTube and thought I would, in case other people haven't seen it and you're subscribed to me, I would attempt to do what he was doing and make my own, because I have seen some cylindrical stick type attachments that go on the bottom here, but they just seem way overpriced for what they are, honestly. So I'm always trying to think of how I can do it cheaper. And short of getting a piece of dowel from the hardware store and drilling a hole in it and mounting a screw to attach to the bottom, I mean that would ultimately be the cheapest, but it won't look very good. So there's a guy on here, his channel is called God's Country. I'll put a link to the video that I watched from him down in the description. But basically what he did is he used bicycle handlebar grips to make a pretty awesome little grip to put on the bottom of your GoPro. And the cool thing is that this is going to be it's going to serve two purposes. So let's just go over what we had to do to get the supplies together. So the first thing is you got to get some bicycle grips. The type you want to get are lock-on grips, lockable grips, and so these little locking things peel off of here. And you cinch them down with a hex cap screw. Comes with a little plug for the end. We're not going to use that. Anyway, got a package of 2 of these, and it also came with the wrench to do it. This is got these on Amazon. I believe they were $7.99. So they pretty much all look the same. There were a couple on there, of course, that were more expensive. These were like not quite the cheapest, but they were pretty cheap. So I'll show you what to do with those in just a minute. The other thing you're going to need is some 1/4 threaded screws. These happen to be hex capped. I picked these up at Home Depot. Everbuilt. Here is the part that I chose. They were out of 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch might have been too small for what we need. So these are 3/4 inch long. And just in case that turns out to be too long, I also bought some 1/4 nuts that I can place on the bolts there, the screws, and take up some of the thread so not as much is going to stick out. So I got the 2 nuts, 2 bolts. I mean these were like 60 cents per package or something. Very, very cheap. And this was over at Home Depot. Home Depot did not have another part that we're going to need, which is a 1/2 inch cap. Now this is, sorry, there you go, now you can see it. I'm going to go ahead and open this one up because I bought a few of them. Oh, tough plastic. This is a 1/2 inch CPVC cap. So you've probably heard of PVC, but this is CPVC. I guess it's hyperchlorinated polyvinyl chloride. Reading up on CPVC, I guess it can withstand higher temperatures and possibly higher pressures. But you need this 1/2 inch CPVC cap to fit nicely down in here. Okay, and then we're gonna lock it in tight with the locking ring when we're done. I bought a PVC cap because it was 34 cents at Home Depot when I was buying these, just to see. And it's the PVC cap for 1/2 inch PVC. It's a lot bigger than this, so it was not going to work. But it was only 34 cents. So we're almost done with our parts list. So okay, 60 cents, 60 cents, 34 cents for this. $8 for these with Amazon Prime free shipping. You're gonna find them Amazon, eBay, local bicycle shop. You know, you might pay a little bit more in local bicycle shop, but you're not gonna pay for shipping. So it might be faster and cheaper that way for you. Who knows? And then the final thing is it's gonna make this dual purpose, because we could just make the grip holder out of this. But what we're gonna do is add some extra battery power to the whole thing by getting one of these. This saw this on sale on Amazon. This is a 3000 milliamp hour USB battery, so you know, charge it over USB and then it can deliver its power back out on USB. And this also came with the little cable, nice little flat one, so plugs in like that, and then you can feed power to your device, GoPro, cell phone, whatever, over this, right? So this is going to go inside the handle grip, and that way one end will be the mount for the oh, I'm sorry, yeah, the last thing we need, but one end will be the mount and the other end will have this plug sticking out of it, and we'll get extra juice to the GoPro, give us longer run times, or if it's completely dead and we're out and about and can't plug into an outlet, we'll have this to power it up, recharge it on our trip. Okay, so that's that. Final thing you're going to need, and these are fairly cheap, you can pick these up at Best Buy or you know, even Target. Anywhere that sells GoPros is going to have additional tripod mounts. This happens to be an off-brand one. Got this through Amazon. I think it was like a 3-pack for $4 or something. So that's a 1/4 20 thread there, and that's where we're going to end up taking the little shoe adapter off of the case, whatever case we're using, and pop this in its place on the end of the pole. So 3-pack for $4. That makes this one a little more than $1. I didn't mention the price of this, so I happened to get this on sale at Amazon. It's $8.99. I've kind of seen them ranging from $8.99 to like $12.99. But you just want the cylindrical type like this. Oh, it's about 4 inches long maybe. And you do want to watch out. Some of them have a flashlight attachment. You don't want that because you wouldn't want it to accidentally trigger the flashlight when it's inside the grip, and now you're just burning battery power on a light that you're not using. Also make sure that all your connections are on the one end, nothing along the side where you can't access it once it's inside the grip. Okay, so you want everything on the one end. So for under $20, well under $20, we've got all the parts we need to make our own cool little handle for holding the GoPro, and that'll give you a much better, you know, it's not put together, but that'll give you a much better, probably steadier shot as you're carrying this along, doing whatever you're doing. So that's all the parts that are needed. First step now to do what we need to do to assemble this is going to be to put a hole dead center on that cap. So I'm going to go get a drill and we will make a hole there. And apologize if you hear my cat, he's having a personal problem outside. I'm going to go make a hole in this cap just with a drill or whatever other hole making device you might have, laser vision, whatever you got. And we'll be back to, once the hole's made, to where did we go? There we go. Put our screws in, and if there's too much thread sticking up after that, I'll back it out, put a nut on the bottom side, and run it back up. We just want a little bit of thread sticking out the top there, just just barely enough thread to catch on that, because as you can see, those threads there are, it's not very deep, so we don't need too much sticking out. So anyway, I'll be back after we've drilled a hole in that. We'll start putting this together. Okay, so I'm back. Went down in the garage, used the drill, put a hole in this thing. 1/4 inch hole, or close to it. I think I had a 1/4 inch bit. I used a 3/16 bit and kind of wiggled it around a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to run the bolt up through the bottom. And so looking down in here at the thickness of the cap, the 3/4 inch bolt's probably going to be too long. So I went ahead and put the first nut on there, and we'll see how that works. Might put the second nut on there if this is still too long. Okay, so I'm going to put that in right now. Okay, this is the second time I've done this. 3/4 inch bolt nut. What do they want to call it? They call it a screw. Okay, so the 3/4 inch long 1/4x20 threaded screw, too long. There was too much thread sticking out. You can put this on, but there was a big gap. So I went ahead and put the second nut up under there. You can see the nuts stacked under there. Okay, so I went ahead and used the second nut, and I had to resort to holding it with some pliers because your hands get hot and maybe a little slick, and this is all slick and it was just spinning. So I had to use the pliers to hold it, but now we got perfect amount of threads sticking out there that you can just tighten this down and boom, it's all tight. Okay, so almost done with the first part. That just conveniently slips in there. I mean, it's perfect size. And then we will take the hex wrench that came with it, just start tightening that up. Cinch it down. Okay, pretty tight. Yeah. All right. I guess if I really pulled on this, I could get it out, but okay, so maybe a little bit tighter. But I had to pull on that. It wasn't just going to fall off from holding it upside down or something. So make that really tight. Okay, so that's the first part. And if all you wanted was a holder, then you're done. I mean, this is already enough to give yourself a good grip, nice tacky rubber grip. In fact, let's go ahead and check that out right now. Pull this off, wedge that in there where it goes. Okay, line that up. Alright, so there you go. And as you're walking along, you have a better grip. I don't know, hopefully. I mean, I might be completely stupid on this, but gives you a little more control over where you're pointing. Hopefully not so much bouncing because you're not just holding it like this. So anyway, that's okay. First half, that's done. So next part will be to, oops, sorry for bumping the camera, to get this guy in here. So here's the downside, or at least the downside in my case. So these grips are just a tad too small, or if you want to say my battery pack is a tad too big. It just doesn't, it just barely fits in there, and this is going to be an hour and a half of pushing and shoving to get it in there. I can feel it starting. Okay, so it starts to go. So I've had two ideas here. Well, three. The third idea is I end up returning these grips and getting something else. Number 1 and 2 both involve heat. So number 1 is I'm going to try using my heat gun on it. Just blow down the tube for a little while, and hopefully that will soften the plastic. And hopefully cause some expansion just a little bit, because I just need like a quarter millimeter, half a millimeter to get that in there. Otherwise it's going to be an hour of like tapping and wiggling and to get it all down in there. That's idea number 1, heat gun. Idea number 2 would be turn on the oven, lowest temperature setting possible, which is probably like 200 or something, and once it's all warmed up, throw the grip in there, let it sit in there for like 15 minutes, and hopefully it'll expand, you know, in all directions, just enough for me to slide this in, let it cool, and then I would be totally solid with that, and that would be really cool. That's what I'd like to do. But the heat gun's right here. We'll try it, and that way I'm not using the oven. So anyway, that's the next step. I'll show you that in just a moment. Alright, so we're going to try heating up the grip. Hopefully get it to expand a little bit more so we can fit in the USB battery pack. I'm going to try it with the heat gun first, see what's going on with that. If it works, great. If not, I will try the low and slow oven method. Apologize if it gets a little noisy. We're going to have the motor for the heat gun. Window is open for the heat and fumes, because this one's, as you can see, pretty new looking. So I apologize if there's screaming kids outside or something. But here we go. Yeah, you can see since it's brand new, we got smoke coming off of it. So it goes in a little bit more, but it was starting. That's going to be tricky, man. I mean, you can see it was already starting to like melt a little bit. So I think that's just too much direct heat coming out of this little nozzle. I could feel it on my hand. It was getting uncomfortable, and that was the low setting, so I think I'm going to end up having to go with the oven, you know? Try gradual heat of the whole thing at once instead of just trying to concentrate heat down the tube, because that's starting to melt. So also has made it possibly not not returnable. I don't know. That's very minor damage. Anyway, so see that there? It's kind of melted a little bit. Alright, I'm going to go try warming up the oven, pop this in there. We'll see how that goes. Alright, I've moved into the kitchen now. The oven is just about to go off from the timer. I set it at 225 for 15 minutes. Put the thing in there on a piece of foil. Alright, put it in there on the piece of foil on a cookie sheet. And like I said, 225, so let's see how we did. Alright, oh yeah, it's a little, definitely soft. Alright. we go. Got the battery thingy. Let's try it out. Hopefully I'm lucky here. Ooh. Oh, it's sliding in pretty good. Halfway in now. Oh. Almost. Oh. The rubber's deforming. Oh, that sucks. Oh, well. And it, oh man, that sucks. It still works. That's good. Yeah, that's as far as it got. Okay. Well, let's let that sit out and cool. Put that on some counter over there. Alright, so here is the final product of the first attempt. Okay, overall, it does what I thought it would do. The oven method did soften up the tube enough to be able to fit this in almost all the way. Kind of started cooling down. This thing was cold. Of course, it was sitting on the cold counter, so as soon as I started sliding it in, it started cooling off the inner plastic tube. And I didn't account for that this rubber would be so soft coming out of the oven, so you can see it's got a little deformed as I gripped it. But I mean, it's totally usable. It's going to do exactly what I thought it would do. It just doesn't look as awesome as I was hoping. I guess the moral of the story is I should have bought the grips that the guy in the other video, God's Country, which again I'm posted in the description. He bought some different grips, and I should have got the same ones, but tried to save a buck. And so live and learn, right? Okay, so I'll probably do another one. Maybe. This thing's still okay. Yeah, it still works, and it's obviously cool to the touch. So I'll post a link to the, if I can find them, I will post a link to the grips that the other guy used. I think they were from a company called Origin 8 or Originate, something like that. They were a little more expensive than the pair that I went with, and looks like maybe they were a tad bit bigger. Either that or my battery pack is just like a 0.5 millimeter thicker than his was. But anyway, I mean, this is going to work for what I wanted it to do. So a lot more work than his turned out to be, but oh well, live and learn. It's a project. It's fun to do. So anyway, thanks for watching. If I run into any further problems with this, or if everything works out good, you know, I'll post back on this video some comments or whatever and let you know. Again, if anybody's wondering, this is the SJ Cam, the M10 model. SJ Cam, typically known for SJ4000. That's the one that looks like a GoPro. They got real famous off of that. This is the M10 little square version. I thought this would be better. Inside it's the same thing as a SJ4000, so you get similar video quality from it. I did a review on this earlier, so you can go back and look at that. Alright, anyway, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you liked the video. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down, let me know why. Always trying to get better. Alright, thanks for watching.